I'm going to call to order the special meeting of the Darien Police Commission, our 2,469th meeting. Acceptance of the minutes, I believe we have two from January 18th. We were in executive session for the to interview two entry-level candidates. So do I have a motion to approve the special meeting? Second? Any questions, comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Then our regular January 18th meeting at 4 o'clock. Do I have a motion to approve those minutes?
Motion to approve.
Second?
Second.
Any questions, comments, additions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Excellent. Okay. Chief, your correspondence.
Okay, well, we still must be doing something right because we still have been well-fed in the recent past. A couple things here. We got a tray of sandwiches from Michael Josephs on the part of a resident. As the commission knows, the West Shore Gideons, who distribute Bibles, they send us cards on a regular basis letting us know that they're praying for the men and women of the Darien Police Department. And we went one step further this time and dropped off some donuts and Bibles here. So West Shore Gideons taking care of us. Man does not live by bread alone, so they brought some donuts. We have a letter here for the commission that's in your packet for the Police Commissioners Association of Connecticut. Read it at your leisure.
We will read.
We have a beneficiary probate gift. We had a resident here who passed away recently. We got a fairly large packet from the attorney representing that estate. The Darien Police Department has been bequeathed $1,000 in his will. So when that comes, I will let the commission know and put it in the appropriate fund. Sheet there.
That's nice.
And we have in your packet a Darien Police Department employee commendation for Officer Neil Mayer. I'm going to put this on our internal Guardian tracking software system as well. There's a new version of it. They have so far unsuccessfully not been able to get me onto that system. So as soon as it gets on, I'll get it on there.
You sure it's not user error?
Definitely not user error.
We'll have it in there by May.
Yeah.
Well, let me read the commendation. Officer Nair arrived at my parents' home after my call to the Darien Police regarding potential scamming. My parents were shaken and visibly upset over the circumstances. Officer Nair created a calm and warm presence while listening carefully to the details of the crime. He reassured my parents, provided solid suggestions on how to resolve the situation, and offered suggestions on how to avoid such events in the future. As a follow-up, a professional roofer showed up the next day and confirmed that the damage created at the house by the scammers were in fact intentional. Good job by Neil Mayer. He's one of our solid officers. So, very nice job. That's what I have for correspondence.
Questions, comments? Captain, department activity?
Good. This is from the period of January 17th through February 7th. On January 24th, a 44-year-old New London woman was arrested for identity theft and criminal impersonation when she tried to withdraw funds from TD Bank using stolen identity information. While being taken into custody, she was found to be in possession of crack cocaine and was additionally charged. On January 24th, an 18-year-old Weston woman was arrested by warrant for her role in a domestic violence incident that took place in Darien on January 3rd. On January 25th, a commercial business in the 300 block of the Post Road was burglarized. January 30th, a residence on Upper Hollow Tree Ridge Road was burglarized. On February 1st, a 34-year-old Jersey City, New Jersey man was arrested after he forcibly entered a vehicle parked at the Hollow Tree self-storage and was found sleeping in it. The man was uncooperative with officers, refused to identify himself, and refused to be fingerprinted. He was charged accordingly. On February 5th, a 49-year-old Norwalk woman was charged for lighting small fires in non-designated areas in Tilly Pond Park, and no damage was reported. Officer Budd has been assisting the First Selectman's office with drone footage of Great Island. In the same time period, we had 1 DWI arrest, 4 domestic disturbance incidents, 9 incidents of identity theft, one of which involved an arrest, 2 stolen vehicles that were unlocked with the keys in them, 5 car burglaries of unlocked vehicles, one in which the suspect entered an open garage and stole a purse out of the unlocked vehicle. We had 19 motor vehicle accidents, 2 having minor injuries. 207 traffic stops conducted by the Patrol Division and the Traffic Division, focusing on areas that residents have complained about and general enforcement. We had 860 calls for service during the same time period. The largest call for service categories were crime prevention patrols at 156, and ambulance calls at 60, miscellaneous entries at 50, fire calls at 23, and suspicious motor vehicles at 16. During the same time period, Thursdays were the busiest days of the week. A majority of our weekly call volume was between 11 a.m. and 6 p.m. That represented 42% of our calls for service.
Jerry, those analytics, are they coming from the new CAD?
Yep.
That's great.
Everybody's getting there with the new system?
Yeah, I think getting used to it. Good, that's what I'm hearing.
I won't go, personally, I won't go quite that far with me just yet. I'm getting there.
Okay, anything else on department activity? Move on to public comment. We actually have people from the public. Anyone care to address the commission?
No, I'm here for one of the items on old business on the agenda.
In that case, okay. We'll move on to old business. Patent Drive, is that what you're here?
No, I was here about the dynamic speed
Oh,
signs.
okay. Hold that thought. Patent Drive, I know some of the residents from Patent Drive could not be here today, but I did want to update the group and who's ever watching as to what happened since the last meeting. We inquired, and I'm going to turn it over to everybody because I think everybody had a hand in kind of assessing the current situation on Patent Drive. So all the relevant town departments were surveyed. We had a new speed analysis, traffic analysis. Both, I think, all of the commissioners plus many police officers did on-site surveillance, and most importantly for me, I had a chance to review the very complete and detailed traffic analysis that Mike Galante did in 2018, including the options and his recommendations. So does anyone want to start?
I can summarize what we've done since the last time. So we, at the request of the residents on Patent Drive, they had suggested that the vehicles coming off of West Ave onto Patent Drive is the area which caused the most issues and speeding in their minds. So we set up the J-Mark just before the curve on Patent to get all the vehicles coming off West Ave onto Patent. And the J-Mark calculated almost 6,000 vehicles in the time frame from January 19th to February 5th. The average speed was 17 miles per hour, and there were 0% enforceable violations in that area. So clearly it doesn't seem that speeding is an issue on either side of the roadway. Our last traffic study there, the J-Mar was put after the curve where there's more of a straightaway, and on that one there was no speeding occurring. The average speed there was low as well. Not 17, I believe it was 20,
23 and
23,
yeah.
yeah.
And additionally, Frederick Clark Associates did a study out there as well, did not find speeding as an issue, right?
Right.
Okay.
We had multiple officers, commissioner, myself, sit on the roadway during the peak hours of commuter traffic in the morning to get to the train. There were no backups on the roadway. The most vehicles at the end of Patent Drive onto Hollow Tree was two backed up at one time. One day there was an event where they had an Optimum truck out there doing work. That was on January 25th. Where we got a picture from a resident there. It showed a 7-car backup, but that was due to the Optimum truck in the roadway, and a traffic officer was there directing traffic. So that was the issue that day. In the last 10 years, we looked up how many accidents occurred on Patton Drive. There were 4 on Patton and 2 at the intersection of Patton and Hollow Tree. The 4 on Patton included one vehicle of a resident that actually lives on Patton that pulled out and was busy in the vehicle and pulled off onto the side of the road, off the roadway, striking a car off the side of the road. One was pulling around the curve, which we discussed at our last meeting, where they went off the roadway. One was a vehicle struck that was possibly struck overnight. The damage was found in the morning. One where an ambulance backed into the driveway and struck a vehicle. And then the 2 were pulling out, one Patton Drive onto Hollow Tree, one was turning left and struck another vehicle, and another one at that intersection, they actually sideswiped each other. 2 cars side by side struck each other while exiting. And in that same 10-year period, there were 4 fire calls on the road, 2 of them carbon monoxide. So it doesn't seem that there's much traffic there. For 10 years, having 6 accidents total doesn't seem like an issue, but so that's what we found since the last meeting.
Okay, well, none of this actually requires action from us unless I, again, had an opportunity to reread all of the 2018 traffic analysis from Mike, and while he had, I don't know, 6, 7, 8 options, his only recommendation that I could see was to upgrade the signaling at West and Hollow Tree. So I know we're getting to that with the redevelopment of the area, but without the Patton Drive residents here, I think we continue to gather our data. And I know Stephanie I had asked her, because she kept referencing some analysis that said we should dead end the road. I can't find it in our files. I asked her if she could produce where she was finding it, because I just wanted to make sure that we had the most complete files and we were working off the same stuff. So I'm happy to discuss that with her this week, next week, before our next meeting, and I know she couldn't be here, so no action from us. You guys happy to table it for the next?
Yeah, I would just add, Kim, that DPW and Plan and Zoning are also, I would say they concur with Frederick Associates in their recommendation,
Okay, so Ally and I will continue to follow up.
The only thing that I would add for the record is that the aforementioned basketball hoop that was on the travel portion of the roadway was moved, but apparently it's now back slightly off the roadway, but it's positioned that if anyone was using that basketball hoop to play basketball, they will be in the travel portion of the roadway. Given the concerns of the residents of potential speeding there and line of sight coming around the corner, the way the basketball hoop is positioned where kids will be playing in the road, for the record, is just not recommended and not allowable under law. So I don't want to see kids get hit. The resident did bring up the potential for town liability on our town roads, which we readily acknowledge, but that's why we make the definitive statement that children cannot play in the road and play basketball in the road.
Okay, well, again, and none of this required any action from us. I just wanted to make sure that we did what we said we were going to do and dug a little deeper, and I will continue to work with Ally and Stephanie and anyone else in Patton Drive that wants to continue to discuss the options there. Okay, the dynamic speed signs on State Route 124, an update. Did you want to address the commission, or are you just here to listen?
I mean, I guess maybe a little bit of both. So Julia Schaefer at 741 Hollow Tree Ridge Road. I understand from reading some of the previous agendas or meeting minutes that there's been some displeasure about those speed signs. Just wanted to come and voice support of those signs from at least the neighbors that I'm aware of, as well as the Oxridge school community. I believe the interim principal sent a note this week expressing his appreciation for those signs as important tools to help curb traffic violations and ensure safety of the students and community and staff of the Oxridge school. I know I've been an advocate of more speed signs, and specifically the you know, the safety concerns on Hollow Tree Ridge Road where we live and just walking the dog around the corner. I realize maybe not everyone is in support of having a speed sign on their lawn, but again, having those outside of the school is consistent with the other schools in town. I think it's an important tool to keep there. And if there's interest in reinstalling the one on Hollow Tree Ridge Road, I'd welcome one on my lawn, so.
To talk to that, we have had some issues with that sign. We are trying to get the parts we had an issue, something was wrong with the sign. So we're waiting for the parts. Once we get them, it will be back up.
Great.
Yep.
So for the record, once again, on the dynamic speed signs on State Route 124. That sign is not on anyone's lawn. It is in the state right-of-way across the street from any resident. It is across the street from homes. It is not on anybody's lawn. We did make modifications to those signs in consultation with the DOT. Those signs simply now have a speed sign and the dynamic speed sign. So we had to change the spec to meet the state's final approval on it, which we have now. As you mentioned, we did get an email from the principal at Oxford School, and I can assure you this was unsolicited. This just showed up in our email box. And as the interim principal of Oxford School, thanking us for installing those signs. And I drive on Mansfield Avenue, 124, every morning. I go home that way, and I have noticed a difference. So I believe that those signs are doing what they're supposed to be doing. And anyone who drives by one of those signs, it is just, if you want to call it an involuntary reaction, you check your speed. You do. It's just, so they work. I understand some hesitancy of how they appear, but the greater public good is certainly done here. We don't like it when residents don't like what we're doing, but when we're trying to do something for the greater public good, and I think we've accomplished that overarchingly in this fashion. You know, the ones that we put on State Route 106, Hoyt Street, those folks waited a long time for those dynamic speed signs, and on the flip side of the issue, we were getting questions, how come they're not here? How come they're not here? How come they're not here? And we finally got them. So in the grand scheme of things, I think we're fully compliant with our permit. I think they're serving the purpose as a proven traffic calming device. I think they're safe. I think they're installed properly, and I think they're operating properly. I would recommend to the commission that this matter would be closed at this point.
I just want to say one thing, and then I will definitely take that advice and close it. But I do just want to clarify, I mean, during the meeting, I think it was in October, subsequent discussions, we emphasized that one of our goals was to calm in the area of Ox Ridge School with the whole upper highway, Mansfield Avenue, whatever everyone's calling it. My letter to the Board of Selectmen certainly was in support of the special appropriation and clearly mentions the benefits of Ox Ridge School. However, because the signs benefit the entire area, the special request to the town and to the Connecticut DOT does not identify these as located in a school zone. So both things can be true. It can benefit the school area while not being in a defined school zone. So I just want to clarify that we keep kind of some of the residents are talking past, because benefiting the school and being in a school zone are two separate things. It benefits the school, but we did not apply for it under a school zone, and it is indeed not in a school zone. So all of the special appropriation documents and everything we put was just a regular permit. So I agree with the chief. Unless anything else comes up that has not been brought to our attention, I'm glad it's working. I'm glad you're happy, and we will continue on. Anything else?
No, thank you for coming. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay, the additional sergeant's position. Chief, is that?
Well, the commission has the document that I supplied on a staffing history of the Darien Police Department, at least in my time here, and the reasons why we have identified the desire at this point to create an additional sergeant's position. Right now, some sergeants and some lieutenants are, quite frankly, fungible. They do the same job depending on what shift is being staffed. This is kind of a continuation of the model that Chief Lavello was attempting to implement during his tenure. We're still not quite there yet, but in this requested restaffing, reorganization paradigm, we're looking to create a 9th sergeant's position so that each patrol squad will be headed by a sergeant. That patrol squad that is currently headed by a lieutenant, that lieutenant will be brought out of the patrol schedule proper, and he will, or she, right now it's a he, will be overseeing the 6 sergeants that work days and evenings. There are certainly tasks that the lieutenant can do based on their ability and their rank that they can address and not simply be the first line supervisor out on the road. I think it's been well researched. I think it's well founded. I do want to go on the record, as the commission well knows, the commission has to be nimble, and you have the authority and the power to create and to retract positions as you see fit. So that does not mean at some point in the future we may not need 5 lieutenants and 8 sergeants. The commission may identify that you maybe need 4 lieutenants and a 3rd captain, or 10 sergeants and 4 lieutenants. The commission has that authority to do this. I think right now, to address the issue in the Darien Police Department, and really this came to a head because we didn't, for the last year and a half since Lieutenant Dignan retired, we don't have a lieutenant working on 3 to 11. So when sergeants are working on 3 to 11, they do not have a supervisor. That's not the way it is supposed to operate. Everyone, including the chief here, has a boss. And I think that, you know, by moving the lieutenant to have more of a flexible schedule to work days and evenings, or parts of days and parts of evenings, overseeing the sergeants is the proper way to staff our mid-management level. Our current budget for salary can support the additional sergeancy. I've had the conversation with the town administrator and the director of finance that moving forward, you know, there would be a slight increase in salary, but in the grand scheme of our salary budget, it's certainly affordable. And again, it just gives the commission that ability to meet our staffing issues head on and not being locked into this forever. That's just not the way it works. But for right now, I think that is my recommendation.
Questions?
No, I mean, we discussed this, I think, in a previous meeting. You sent a very detailed email about it. I think we're all in agreement with you.
Yes, there is certainly a well-documented term paper as to the benefits. Anything else from you? You need a vote from us, I assume.
I would need a vote to create that position, and then if so voted, I would ask the commission to schedule interviews of the top 3 candidates as soon as possible, so we can make this
Live.
We can make this live, depending on who might be selected as the newest sergeant. That would create some downstream movement as well. So
Yes.
the quicker that we
Need
can
some
get that
dominoes.
moving, the better off we'll be positioned moving forward.
Okay. I make a motion that we approve the additional sergeant's position effective as soon as we can interview the candidates.
Second.
Anything else? All those in favor?
Thank you.
It's good to get that done. Okay. Building issues update, a building sign.
Yes, we discussed this, I think the last meeting or two. I'm still getting some quotes, so I don't want to go ahead with this just yet. The sign out front is pretty dated and needs some updating, so I'm still working on getting some quotes. So I'll hold off until the next meeting for this one, if that's okay.
That is fine.
The sprinkler system, so I've gotten the results back from the company who says we need to install a nitrogen system. It's like an airflow to keep our pipes clean from bacteria. They have yet to give me a quote on the cost of that, but it may be something that we'll have to put out to bid depending on what it comes back as. So
that an
that's
upgrade
That's
to our
for
current?
the whole building. correct?
Yeah, the fire suppression
Fire
system,
Fire.
right.
I can assure you that it will be of sufficient funding that the bidding will be required.
Yep.
What a pain.
Unfortunately.
And that has to do with
Yeah, why did,
the moisture in the system has started to eat the metal piping and causing pinholes in that system. So where I guess that
So-
when that's repaired, the nitrogen, of course, nitrogen is much drier than oxygen. When you got forced nitrogen in there, you don't have that
the condensation?
condensation. So, net code, but it might have not been the best option when they put it in. But clearly, we cannot operate without a fire suppression system.
Okay, so we will,
TBD, but
And then one more
Nothing's cheap.
update on the building is just the women's locker room has started. We've recently put a shower in another restroom for the women. Starting on Monday, they will start demolition, so.
How long is that estimated? I don't recall.
2 to 3 months, I believe.
Okay.
90
Hopefully,
days. but-
hopefully 2, but.
Yeah, 90 days, but we were hopeful that there was much less than 90 days. So that would be a big step forward.
that would be good. Okay. Traffic issues, on-street parking on Good Wives, Rings End, Pear Tree Point, and Long Neck Point.
With the pending opening, at least partial opening of Great Island, and with the current rules that no vehicles will be allowed on Great Island, I think the commission needs to take a look down there of what we want to do as far as posting the area of no parking. We historically don't have a lot of parking in that area until it's wintertime, as we had several weeks ago during the cold snap, and there was plenty of people skating on Gordon's Pond, to the point that I got a video from a resident 3 or 4 days after the video was taken. Clearly, Goodwives River Road was impassable to anything but except a small car. They were parking on both sides of the street for an extended, way down Goodwives River Road. There would have been no way to get a fire truck through there. So there are there's 1 or 2 signs posted on Goodwives River Road. One that we put in, I believe, when maybe Captain Orgavan was still here, so we may be going back 20-plus years, that says no on-street parking, skater drop-off only. That's what the sign says. Clearly, if we think we're going to get parking for people going into Great Island, there's no real effective way to park on Goodwives River Road, Rings End Road, Long Neck Point, or Pear Tree, anywhere near where they all meet. So I would recommend to the commission and maybe the captain, maybe the traffic officer, take a stock of what we think we want to do down there. Clearly, we never like over-signing areas. People, especially in that area, they don't want to see signs every 15 feet. But we do have to make it where it's clear that we really don't want people to be parking on Goodwives River Road to access Great Island. That problem may go away someday when there is parking on Great Island, even for skating at some point.
Did
Yes,
the, oh, go
yeah.
ahead.
No, good.
Did the signs that we put up down at, we had parking issues at the beach too for a while, where people were,
Yep.
instead of going in, they were parking. Does that solve that problem?
That part of Pear Tree Point Road has been signed for no parking for
But in Crane, we
my
went
entire
over- we
career.
went-
Crane Road was not, it was
Right.
only posted up to the corner. There was some residents who maybe wanted it posted all the way on Crane Road, but the other residents didn't
Said
want
no.
the disability to not have a party perhaps and have people park there. That's why it was parked up to that corner.
And that's worked so far for beach?
Yeah, we don't get any
You don't
complaints
get a
of
lot of-
parking in the area of Pear Tree.
Kind of similar to Commissioner Hufford. So my only concern is, obviously, we don't want the road to be blocked for emergency vehicles. That's pretty clear. Neighbors on Harbor Road, are they going to get a ton of, I know it's much wider, you can park there, it's legal, but that would just be a concern. Do we want to limit people to the beach? It's a much longer walk, of course, but something to think about. We don't need to answer that right now, because Harbor Road would I
Harbor
would
Road,
think, get
that's-
pretty congested.
Well, we have to look at it all.
The only potential issue there is if we ever posted like a Harbor Road, the residents, it's a two-edged sword.
Yeah,
Then
yeah.
they can't have their residents park on Harbor Road either.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a balancing act.
Yep.
No easy answer. Okay, so you're just raising that, and we're going to go out and look and assess, and, okay. Assume that will make it on a future agenda. Okay, new business. Officer.
first order of new
Yep.
business, Officer Bouzakis is off of probation. I have documents here, if the commission so approves, with a vote to take him off and appoint him as a full patrol officer effective February 2nd, 2024.
I make a motion that we take him off probation and appoint him a patrol officer effective February 2nd, 2024.
Second.
Questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Depot House Tour, finally got who is someone.
Commissioners, I asked Amy Daniels to come on behalf of the Depot to explain an event that she's looking at hosting later on in the year. I'm not real familiar with the event, but from what I understand, it's kind of been on hold for the last few years due to COVID. It's a house tour down off of Nearwater, kind of in the Brush Island, the Roten Bay area, and rather than have a middleman negotiating between the commission and Ms. Daniels, I thought it would be more beneficial to have her appear and answer any questions that you might have.
Excellent.
Event-
Thanks for
upcoming.
coming.
Thank you. This is my first police commission
Well-
meeting. It's fascinating. Thanks for having me. And thank you all for your service to Darien. So the Depot is Darien's youth center. Back in the late 1990s and throughout the aughts, I guess it's called, the Depot was the host of the Darien House Tour. It was before my time. I didn't even know we did it until I came across all of the old program books. Most recently, it was done by the First Congregational Church. They decided, obviously it was off during COVID, but coming out of COVID, that it wasn't something that they wanted to pick up and do again. The Depot, saw the opportunity and would love to bring that back to town. The idea for us is to really focus on different neighborhoods throughout Darien where we have centralized parking and limit on-street parking and make it walkable. So the hope is that, this year would focus on the Bay and on Brush Island, but in future years, we would look at other areas where there was something for centralized parking so that you limited the number of kind of cars all over town and also made it walkable because there are so many great neighborhoods to highlight in our community. So the idea for this one is that we would hold it on May 31st. We're currently in the process of, it's a Friday, it would be during the day between the hours of 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. with, so we're talking to Parks and Recs and about to submit, about to submit an application for use of a permit at the beach that would also include the paddle hut, so we could do check-in and a grab-and-go lunch that Palmer's has offered to cater out of that location. And all of the houses that we're looking at are within, are within a 9-minute walk of Weed Beach. So 2 houses on Brush Island. We're still in the process of securing all of the houses, but I've labeled the approximate area, and I'm sorry I didn't pick it up. So you guys could see, but we have been talking to all of those homeowners and are in the process of securing those locations. And I have specific addresses as well if you need them, but until it's finalized. But the idea is that we would create a circle. So when people arrive to Weed Beach, they would get their program book. It would tell them which house they're starting at. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 6 is optional based on some real estate that's for sale out there, and if the houses are still available, we'd love to use that as one of the houses, but if not, we would stick to 5. So they would start at different points, but they would proceed clockwise around the circle with everybody, if they so chose to end at Weed Beach and get lunch, or grab it and go, or use it, have a picnic lunch at Weed.
So everyone's parking at Weed Beach.
Yeah,
And
and
it's
so
really,
the one thing that I should mention is we have gotten some quotes from Livery Services Transportation so that anyone that was on crutches or elderly or just didn't want to walk, we're thinking about 2 to 3 shuttles that would go in that circle as well, making stops and drops at those houses, but no parking at the houses, no parking in the Bay, and no parking in Brush Island.
We are also talking to both the Norotan Bay Association and the Rush Island Association, of course, for their permission and for the permission of their residents.
How many people do you expect?
You know, it's hard to say. I know New Canaan does a holiday one every year, and they also do a spring one, but they do it over a 2 or 3 day period and have a couple different events. We do envision that there'll be people that come from 10 until 12, and then they run to pick up their preschoolers, or would come for a part of it, but not the whole thing. So we think throughout, with people coming and going at various times, around 300 or 400. We really don't want to do much more than that because we don't want it to be too congested in the houses. And we, much like we did with the turkey trot, which was our first one along the track at the high school in November, we would rather start smaller, make sure that it's manageable and works well for everyone involved, and then look to expand it. So we would be conservative in terms of the numbers.
In Parks and Rec, if I don't have a beach sticker, they're going to waive that so you can get
Yes.
in?
So
Okay.
we would have their event ticket or something that they could show at the booth, and we would also offer to have volunteers there with a list of attendees. And we do envision, I should mention, we envision that a lot of people will actually carpool to this together and go with friends. It is, most people don't go on a house tour alone. You want to do it primarily with your girlfriends. And so we do think that a lot of people will come together. And so in terms of the number of cars, I think around 100 to 150.
Would
Do
it
you,
work-
do you envision having anybody down there for traffic, or,
Say
you don't,
for
or that's not
pedestrian
necessary?
traffic?
So
Thinking-
the thing that we were hoping to talk to you guys about is we know that we definitely want some details and to hire police details, at least in 2 or 3 locations, really just to ensure that people that aren't there for it are slowing down, because they know that there's people walking on the streets, but also just to have a presence of the Darien Police Department in the areas that will be conducting it.
It is a Friday in early summer, but it's not Memorial Day weekend, which is a plus, so. I think it's certainly viable.
Sounds well organized, Amy. Well thought out.
Yes. The cars, that is a whole different deal, but walking, I think, is,
I think, Amy, the only concern I had is, just historically, the Norotan Bay residents and area residents down there are alarmed when they see a police car, never mind seeing a livery service type vehicle. So as long as you're consulting the associations down there and you have their permission, I think that's one of the concerns I had.
Right, and the benefit, I think, as well, is that this is going to have the buy-in of the residents that are participating in the tour and agreeing to let their house be used. And some of them are actually residents, both of the Norotan Bay Association and the Rush Island Association. So we're hoping that we want to make sure it works for all of the residents again, because if this isn't something that works for them, then the next neighborhood we go to next year is going to be concerned. So it really has to be something that works for everyone involved.
Any rain date?
No, rain or shine, bring your umbrella.
Pray for shine.
especially if you're one of the homeowners.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
150 people.
Yeah, we're gonna have the
living in the
little
front door.
booties that you step into and, make it easy on the homeowners too.
Okay. I have no issue, and do we need a motion to approve this?
I don't see any legal traffic authority concerns there. I think
This is us, it's
just
private roads.
make us aware of it.
Okay.
I think we'll certainly be able to assist, and I think
All
it'll be a
right.
great event.
And Captain, I assume you will work with them on any,
Yeah, we'll be
Additional
in touch as far as the
Thank you, and I'm
details.
sorry to run out, but we have a bunch of
You
fifth
go.
graders having a Valentine's party at the depot right now, so I'm headed back.
No worries.
Thank you.
Be well.
okay. We have, which we haven't seen in a while, but we have requests for funds from the alarm fund. Who's driving this bus?
Commissioners, as you are aware, the police commissioners' conference room on the second level here in the administrative wing is equipped with a TV monitor. It's original equipment to the renovation that took place here over 10 years ago, so the monitor is outdated. Over the last few years, we've definitely recognized the need for using that monitor, whether it be online type meetings, our weekly meetings that we have on Tuesdays, but there's definitely need for an improvement in the monitor that we have there now. And in fact, we had a recommendation to put monitors in opposite ends of the conference room that we think we could benefit from. So I'd ask the police commission to consider up to $2,500 in adding 2 new monitors to the police commissioners' conference room. That would include the 2 TVs themselves, as well as mounting equipment and any HDMI cables we might need.
10 years
And-
old.
You want me to touch on the rest?
Yes.
Okay.
If they
So
are
we
yours.
have a request, we have an upcoming training in FBI Connecticut chapter that just came about last year, so we have in the budget, we don't have enough for our, all our lieutenants to attend. Some of us attended last year, we want some different lieutenants to attend this year, so we're asking for $1,100 for a lieutenant to go to that training. We are also requesting memorabilia, like police memorabilia for the community, to hand out to the community and at conferences and things. And that request would be up to $7,000. And Lieutenant Mastriani is requesting 2 ERT rifles for our new members of the ERT team. I don't know if you're aware, but we've been short on that team. It's a regional team. We've been short with members for quite some time, so we finally have gotten 2 other officers to join. So we're requesting $4,000 for those 2 rifles.
And the last time we ordered pins, I think, was in the Dwayne Lavello
Right, it
years.
was
So
probably
they-
at least 10 years ago that we've ordered those kinds of memorabilia for the department to hand out. It's been probably over 10
Clearly, we
years.
ordered them in bulk, if it was
Yes.
in the Dwayne Lavello years.
Yes.
So in sum, the requests all come down to basically 1 training, 2 education, 3 community outreach, and 4 basically emergency
safety.
response team,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So I'll make, unless there's any discussion, and I'll make a motion to.
Wait, so we have 2 new people on the ERT
Yeah,
team
let
that
me-
need to be
Yeah,
rifled?
let me just touch on that a little bit.
Yeah,
You know,
and-
if you want to call it contractually, we're required to staff the Southwest Emergency Response Team with 5 officers. We had 5 officers at one point, but due to resignations, retirements, we were down. We have only had 2 officers on that emergency response team for my time as chief. So we have been short, and we have put it out for volunteers, and there was not a lot of appetite for officers to take on that additional responsibility. With some of the newer officers that we have here, we've identified quality officers that have tested with that team, and the team is taking them on, and they will be trained. We are required to supply the equipment for those team members. And in the area of regionalization, there is nothing more important than a regional emergency response team as we see. So this serves a dual purpose too. With these officers going on the ERT rifles are a little bit different than our patrol rifles, but they're similar enough that these officers, when they work here in Darien, carry those same rifles with them. And as the commission knows, we have this rolled out mission to outfit officers with patrol rifles. This is 2 more that we will not be needing from that other.
So this is essentially offsetting some of the
Correct.
rifles that we were going to purchase anyways for those 2.
That's correct.
And Chief, it's Andy, Lou, Zach, and who's the 4th?
Mastriani is on the
Andy?
Andy Mastriani,
Derek Lasser.
Derek
Derek,
Lasser.
okay.
And we also have Amanda Hinckley is the K-9 officer, is attached to the ERT. She sometimes trains with them. She's not a member of the ERT, but she trains with them. And our negotiators as well work with them. They're not part of the team, but they work hand in hand with them.
Understood.
Okay, that is helpful. Okay. Brent, you were halfway through a motion?
Yeah, unless there's anything else. So why don't we, I think I have about 14.6, so I'll make a motion to approve up to 15,000 for those items. Again, training, education, community outreach, and the ERT team.
Second. Any other questions, comments? Motion all approved? Vote yes?
Yep.
Okay. Okay. I was staring at the last agenda item. With everything in my power, I would like to skip it.
Second.
Alas, I have not found a way. So before it is, for those of you who are not looking at our agenda, the request for retirement of Chief Donald B. Anderson. But before I make the motion, I would like to say a few words. In Chief Anderson's request for retirement, he quoted Ralph Waldo Emerson, and I'm going to read it so I don't mess it up. To know one To know one life has breathed easier because you have lived, that is to have succeeded. I think I speak on behalf of all the residents and business owners and visitors to the town of Darien who have been touched by Don Anderson for 40 years and 4 months. You have most certainly succeeded in that. The world has certainly changed since the chief first put on that uniform, and he has seen many changes in the profession. But something that has not changed is his high personal standard, the standard you set for yourself, the standard you set for the Darien Police Department. It certainly has been a privilege and a pleasure for this commission to serve in real partnership with you. With the effective date of April 1st, I think the Police Commission was hoping it was an April Fool's joke. It was not. But I think we are required to take an official vote to accept your request for retirement, but we do it with reluctance and sadness and happy for you, a mix of emotions, but we will have time. This is not your last police.
It's not my last
This
meeting.
is not your last meeting, but I did want to mark the formality of accepting your resignation with some remarks, and we will have time for many more. And I do want to say also before we finish up this business, as the Police Commission, we have many important roles and responsibilities to the greater residents of Darien, but none are more important than selecting and supporting a new chief of police. So to that end, we are currently undertaking the process. We will perform interviews soon, and we plan to announce our new chief of police long before Chief Anderson walks out the door. So with that, I will reluctantly make a motion to accept your request for retirement effective April 1st, 2024.
Reserve the right to make some comments later. I'll reluctantly second that.
Yes. Any other comments? Sigh. All those in favor?
Okay.
Okay. So you may not have been contacted, but we've been contacted with people from all corners wishing you well, and
Oh, I have been contacted.
you. So anyway, you will be back in that chair for a couple more meetings at least. But with that, last order of business, I think, is to pick our next meeting date. Where is the calendar?
Calendar's in there, I believe.
It is. Today is the 8th.
We will need a special meeting, I think, to interview sergeant's candidates.
Yep. Yes, we will. And chief's candidates and we're going to be very busy for the next few months.
Rick, what do you have for our next meeting?
It's the
It
15th,
should be the 15th,
But-
it's next
Okay.
Thursday.
um,
That would be the regular-
that would be a little tight.
Okay.
So the 22nd, the 29th?
Remember that the following week is kiddos, is the school holiday.
School holiday.
So
Okay.
Yeah, 22nd is right. That
So
would be,
the week of
The week of the
the week of
19th.
I'm
19th.
slightly older
Yeah.
than you all. Um,
I'm the only one who has a kid in school.
29th?
Yeah, I got
Do I hear
I'll
the
make it.
29th?
I got two in the school still. High school.
Why don't we say the 29th?
That works.
Is that good?
Yeah, that's fine.
And,
Or,
and I assume we will potentially meet before then in a special session to interview sergeant's candidates.
Yeah, that special
We will-
meeting for interviewing sergeant's candidates should not be more than 3 hours.
to be clear, we've interviewed them before, right?
Two out of
Several
the three.
candidates,
Okay.
not all three.
2 out of
Okay.
3, I think. Okay, so with that, we are adjourned. We are going to go into executive session.